All right, get ready because we're taking a deep dive into some pretty intense stuff today. The Book of Enoch.
Ooh.
We'll be focusing on those YouTube videos by Christopher Glynn. Book of Enoch Part 2, Fallen Angels, Apocalyptic Visions, full audiobook with text. And also the Book of Enoch, Fallen Angels, Rise of the Nephilim, full audiobook Part 1. You know, just those titles alone got me hooked.
Oh, yeah.
Fallen Angels, Apocalyptic Visions. I mean, it sounds like a movie.
It really does have like that kind of epic cinematic thing going on. And even though it's not part of like the traditional biblical canon, the Book of Enoch has really had a huge impact on, you know, different religious and mystical traditions, from like Jewish mysticism to early Christian writings and even Islamic thought.
Wow, okay.
It's kind of like this hidden treasure trove of like ancient beliefs about angels, demons, judgment, and, you know, cosmos.
Okay, so let's jump right into it. Glenn's Part 2 really, I think, captivated me with Enoch's visions, especially the journey to the heavens and encountering angels. It's all very grand and awe-inspiring. But what was really fascinating was the descriptions of, you know, all the astronomical phenomena like stars, lightning, and thunder, and how they're connected to divine order. Like the universe itself is like a reflection of God's plan.
Yeah, it's more than just like a reflection, though.
Yeah.
The Book of Enoch kind of suggests that all these like cosmic forces are like directly tied to divine judgment.
Oh.
You know, the weighing of human actions on like this grand universal scale.
Right.
You know, Enoch, he learns the secrets of the lightning and the thunder and the winds.
Right.
But these aren't just, you know, scientific facts to him.
Right.
They're deeply intertwined with this idea that single thing that we do is observed and measured against like a standard of righteousness.
So like a cosmic microscope.
Yeah, it makes you think, like, are we living under a kind of cosmic microscope?
Yeah, it makes you think twice about those questionable choices.
Yeah.
And speaking of choices, the consequences of like the bad ones are depicted pretty intensely.
Right.
Glynn doesn't really hold back on those descriptions of like judgment and the separation of the righteous and the wicked and the punishments awaiting sinners.
Yeah.
It's heavy stuff like fire, chains, and imprisonment.
Yeah, the Book of Enoch definitely uses some vivid and what some might say terrifying imagery to really emphasize like the weight of our moral actions.
Right.
And the stark contrast between like choosing righteousness or straying from the divine path.
Okay.
It's a very powerful reminder that actions have consequences.
Yeah.
Especially when it comes to defying like divine laws.
So if the universe is watching and there are severe consequences for bad behavior, where's the hope? Is it all doom and gloom?
Well, amidst all of this judgment, there is a glimmer of hope. And it's in the form of the Son of Man.
Ah, yes. The mysterious Son of Man. Glynn describes this figure as like a righteous judge associated with divine authority, destined to raise up the good and cast down the wicked. It's almost like a prototype for the Messiah figure.
Yeah, it's definitely like a fascinating precursor.
Yeah.
This idea of the Son of Man as a judge, like a divine intermediary intervening in like human affairs,
Right.
raises all sorts of questions about divine justice, you know, the ultimate fate of humanity, and even the possibility of redemption.
Yeah.
And you have to remember this concept was circulating centuries before the time of Jesus.
Oh, wow.
It really gives you a sense of, you know, the long history and the evolution of these ideas.
Okay, so we've got divine judgment, a mysterious Son of Man figure. What else does the book throw at us?
Well, hold on tight, because we're about to enter like the realm of fallen angels.
Oh, yeah.
And their offspring, the Nephilim. This is where Glynn's Part 1 like really takes off.
Okay, bring on the fallen angels.
Yeah.
I'm particularly fascinated by the specific names and the roles of these rebellious angels.
Right.
We're not talking about like, you know, generic, you know, bad angels here.
No.
Semjaza, Azazel, Gedriel. These are, I mean, distinct characters with personalities, each introducing different types of forbidden knowledge to humanity.
It's intriguing, isn't it? This idea that human advancement, you know, from warfare and metallurgy to even sorcery, is linked to these fallen angels.
Wow.
Really raises some profound questions, like, does this suggest that all progress comes at a cost? What are like the ethical implications of seeking knowledge that, you know, might be considered forbidden even today, especially in a world where information is so readily accessible?
It's like the Book of Enoch is asking us to examine the potential consequences of, like, you know, unchecked curiosity and the pursuit of knowledge without even considering ethical boundaries.
Well,
Are we repeating the mistakes of those that came before us?
Yeah, Perhaps that's a question that we, need to ponder. But getting back to the story, the Book of Enoch tells us that the actions of these fallen angels had devastating consequences.
Okay.
Glynn describes how their influence led to, like, widespread violence and sin and bloodshed.
Wow.
Essentially unleashing chaos upon Earth.
So humanity's left to grapple with the consequences of the fallen angels' actions.
Mm-hmm.
What happens next? Does humanity just, like, suffer the consequences, or is there some form of divine intervention?
Well, the cries of, suffering humanity, they reach heaven.
Right.
And it prompts a pretty powerful response from God.
Oh, okay.
He pronounces judgment not just on, like, the fallen angels, but also on their offspring, the Nephilim, as well.
Wow.
Glynn's descriptions of their punishments are, pretty intense, like imprisonment in darkness,
Wow.
fire, then the abyss.
Yeah.
It really underscores the severity of divine justice, doesn't it?
Yeah, it's a stark reminder that actions have consequences.
Yeah.
And those consequences can be pretty severe. But it also kind of suggests that God is not indifferent to human suffering.
Right.
There's a sense that, he's deeply invested in the well-being of humanity.
Absolutely. The Book of Enoch portrays God as both, like, a righteous judge
Right.
and a compassionate protector.
Yeah.
He punishes wickedness.
Right.
But he also offers, like, a way out for those who seek righteousness.
Okay.
And that's where the story of the flood comes in.
Yes, the Great Reset.
Yeah.
It's not just a biblical tale.
Right.
It's right there in the Book of Enoch.
Exactly. God instructs Noah to build the ark.
Right.
Essentially, like, wiping the slate clean and giving humanity a fresh start.
But how do we reconcile this idea of, like, this destructive flood with a merciful God?
Right.
Is it just divine retribution?
Yeah.
Or is there, like, a deeper message about the consequences of human actions and the possibility of redemption?
It's a very complex question that has been debated for centuries.
Yeah.
But one thing is clear. Even amidst this destruction, God preserves a righteous remnant.
Okay.
Noah and his family.
Yeah.
They represent a seed of hope.
Right.
The promise that even in the face of, overwhelming judgment, God always provides a way.
Yeah.
For a new beginning.
It makes me think about, like, our own times.
Yeah. Right.
We face so many challenges like climate change, social unrest, political divisions.
Yeah.
Is there a message in the Book of Enoch for us, a way to navigate these, turbulent times?
Perhaps the Book of Enoch reminds us that even in, like, the darkest of times, hope is never extinguished.
Yeah.
It encourages us to, to seek righteousness, to make choices that align with, like, divine will.
Right.
And to work towards creating a more just and harmonious world.
Okay.
Even when it feels like, everything is falling apart.
Okay. So we've talked about, divine judgment, the flood, and the importance of righteousness, but there's still this mysterious figure of the Son of Man looming in the background.
Yeah. Yeah.
What exactly is, like, his role in all of this?
The Son of Man is a fascinating and complex figure.
Yeah.
He's presented as, like, a pre-existent heavenly being.
Okay.
Associated with righteousness and divine authority.
Right.
He's destined to judge the wicked, vindicate the righteous, and usher in a new era of peace and justice.
Right.
It's almost as if he embodies the hope for, like a world transformed, a world where the consequences of sin are finally addressed, and righteousness prevails.
It's an intriguing concept, and one that seems to have, influenced later messianic expectations in both, like, Judaism and Christianity.
Yeah.
But what about, like, the elect mentioned in the Book of Enoch? Who are these special folks, and how do they fit into the picture?
The elect are those who have, chosen to align themselves with God and follow the path of righteousness. They are characterized by their faith, their adherence to divine law, and their rejection of the wickedness that, kind of pervades the world.
So it's not about, like, bloodlines or social status. It's about, like, an inner commitment to what's right.
Exactly.
A conscious choice to live a life that reflects divine will.
Exactly. The Book of Enoch really emphasizes that true righteousness is a matter of the heart, not outward appearances. It's about making choices that resonate with your deepest sense of what's right. Yeah. What's in harmony with a higher purpose.
That's a message that transcends time and culture.
Yeah.
It's as relevant today as it was, centuries ago.
Yeah.
But I'm curious about, like, the specific visions
Right.
Enoch has in the book.
Yeah.
What kind of insights do they offer into the spiritual realm?
Enoch's visions are a fascinating blend of like cosmic journeys,
All right.
encounters with angels, and glimpses into the inner workings of the universe.
Okay.
He describes celestial realms,
Right.
the house of fire, the throne of glory.
Oh.
It's almost like he's taking a guided tour
Yeah.
of the spiritual dimensions.
It sounds like these visions are meant to offer, like, a glimpse into the transcendent,
Right.
the divine order that lies beyond, our everyday experience.
Yeah.
It's like a reminder that there's more to reality than what we just see and touch.
Exactly. The Book of Enoch suggests that there's, a spiritual dimension that's just as real as the physical world.
Right.
And that this dimension has a, profound influence on our lives.
Yeah.
Enoch's visions offer a glimpse into this realm,
Right.
providing a window into, the workings of divine justice, the nature of good and evil,
Yeah.
and the ultimate fate of humanity.
It's making me think about our own experiences with the spiritual. Have you ever had like a moment,
Yeah.
a feeling,
Yeah.
a dream that made you feel connected to something larger than yourself?
Yeah.
Something beyond, the material world.
I think most of us have had those moments, those glimpses into the transcendent that leave us wondering about, the nature of reality and our place within it. And perhaps the Book of Enoch, with its, vivid descriptions of the spiritual realm, can help us make sense of those experiences.
Yeah.
Those intuitive feelings that there's more to life than meets the eye.
It's almost as if the Book of Enoch is offering a language,
Right.
a framework for understanding the spiritual dimensions of our existence.
Uh-huh.
And Enoch himself,
Yeah.
he's like the ultimate spiritual explorer,
Yeah.
venturing into these realms
Yeah.
beyond human comprehension.
Yeah.
But what made him so special? Why was he chosen for this incredible journey?
The Book of Enoch doesn't offer a definitive answer.
Okay.
But it emphasizes Enoch's righteousness and purity of heart.
Yeah.
It suggests that, his closeness to God stemmed from his unwavering faith and his commitment to living a life that was in harmony with divine will.
So it's not about magical powers or special abilities.
Right.
It's about like an inner state of being,
Yeah.
A purity of heart that allowed him to connect with the divine on a deeper level.
Precisely. The Book of Enoch suggests that true spiritual insight and wisdom come from within, from a heart that's aligned with a higher purpose.
Yeah.
And perhaps that's one of the most powerful messages that the Book of Enoch offers.
Right.
That the potential for spiritual growth and connection lies within each of us, waiting to be cultivated and nurtured.
It's a message that resonates deeply with me.
Yeah.
But I'm curious,
Yeah.
what happens to Enoch at the end of his journey? Does
Yeah.
he return to Earth?
Right.
Or does something else happen?
Well, that's where the Book of Enoch takes another fascinating turn. Instead of, returning to the ordinary world, Enoch experiences a final translation.
Okay.
He disappears from Earth.
Wow.
Leaving behind a legacy of wisdom and prophecy.
So it's like, he ascended
Right.
to a higher plane of existence after witnessing all those incredible things.
Yeah.
It's like the culmination of his spiritual journey.
Right.
Like a testament to his righteousness and his profound connection with the divine.
Exactly.
And his disappearance leaves us with a sense of wonder,
Right.
a reminder that the possibilities of, spiritual experience are limitless.
Yeah.
Well, we've covered a lot of ground in this part of our deep dive from the flood.
Right.
And the concept of divine justice to the mysterious figure of the Son of Man and the nature of the elect.
Yeah.
The Book of Enoch has given us a lot to ponder.
It's a text that, challenges our assumptions about reality, about the nature of good and evil, about the possibilities of spiritual transformation.
Right.
But we've only just begun to, scratch the surface.
Yeah.
The Book of Enoch contains a wealth of knowledge, imagery, and symbolism that warrants further exploration.
So join us for part 3, where we'll continue to unravel the mysteries and messages of this, enigmatic and thought-provoking ancient text.
Yeah.
Welcome back to our deep dive into the Book of Enoch. We've journeyed through visions of heaven and hell and explored the concept of divine judgment and encountered those fallen angels and righteous men. Now, having explored all these fascinating aspects, I'm curious, what are the key takeaways? What enduring messages does the Book of Enoch offer us today?
It's a great question, and one that I think speaks to the enduring power of this, ancient text. The Book of Enoch, despite its complex structure and sometimes, cryptic language, it speaks to some very fundamental human concerns. It offers a glimpse into an ancient worldview where, the lines between the spiritual and the material were blurred, where angels and demons, interacted with humans, and where divine judgment was a constant reality.
One of the things that struck me most about the Book of Enoch is its emphasis on moral accountability. From the weighing of human actions to those graphic descriptions of punishment for, the wicked. It's clear this book is deeply concerned with the consequences of our choices. Does it ever feel like the Book of Enoch is trying to scare people into being good?
Yeah. Well, while the imagery can be intense, I think it's more than just, scaring people. The Book of Enoch seems to be emphasizing the gravity of our choices, suggesting that our actions, they have a ripple effect, impacting not just our own destinies, but the fate of humanity and the world around us. It's about aligning ourselves with divine will and striving to live a life that reflects, righteousness.
It's almost like the Book of Enoch is saying we're all part of a much larger story, a cosmic drama, where our choices really matter. And speaking of cosmic drama, the Book of Enoch doesn't shy away from depicting the struggle between good and evil, does it?
Not at all. The fallen angels, with their, seductive offers of forbidden knowledge, they embody those temptations that can lead humanity astray. They represent the forces of darkness that seek to, undermine divine order and corrupt human nature. And yet, amidst all that darkness, the Book of Enoch also presents figures of righteousness, like Enoch himself, who resist temptation and remain faithful to God.
Enoch is such an intriguing figure, isn't he? Uh, he's like this ultimate spiritual explorer, venturing into realms beyond human comprehension. But what's interesting is that his righteousness isn't about possessing, special powers or abilities. It seems to stem from a purity of heart and an unwavering faith that allows him to connect with the divine on a deeper level.
That's a powerful message, isn't it? This idea that true righteousness isn't about external rituals or displays of piety, but about cultivating an inner connection with the divine. It's about making choices that resonate with your, deepest sense of what's right, what's in harmony with a higher purpose. And
Hmm.
this idea of aligning ourselves with divine will brings us to another key theme in the Book of Enoch: the concept of a transformed earth, a world where righteousness and peace, reign supreme.
Yes, the Book of Enoch doesn't just talk about individual salvation. It actually envisions a future where the corrupting influences of the fallen angels and their offspring are eradicated, and humanity lives in harmony with God and creation. It's a vision of a restored Eden, a world cleansed of sin and suffering.
It's a powerful and inspiring vision, even if it seems a bit far-fetched in our current world. But perhaps the Book of Enoch is reminding us that even amidst the chaos and darkness of our, present reality, there's always a possibility for change, for renewal, for a brighter future. It's a call to action, an invitation to, become agents of transformation in our own time and place.
So it's not just about waiting for divine intervention. The Book of Enoch seems to be suggesting that we have a role to play in bringing about this transformation. But how do we do that? Where do we even begin?
The Book of Enoch doesn't offer a step-by-step guide, but it emphasizes the importance of individual righteousness and the collective pursuit of justice. It suggests that by aligning our actions with divine will and working together to combat evil, we can contribute to the creation of a more just and harmonious world. It's about making conscious choices both in our personal lives and in our engagement with the world around us that reflect those values of righteousness, justice, and compassion.
It's almost like the Book of Enoch is offering a roadmap for the soul, a guide for navigating the complexities of life and, contributing to a greater good. It reminds us that we're not just, passive bystanders in this cosmic drama. We're active participants, and our choices have the power to shape the course of history and the fate of humanity.
Exactly, and perhaps that's the most enduring message of the Book of Enoch, that we each have a role to play in the unfolding of this great story, this ongoing struggle between good and evil. It's a story that challenges us to examine our own choices, to confront the forces of darkness that surround us, and to work towards a future where justice, peace, and righteousness prevail.
It's been an incredible journey exploring the Book of Enoch with you. It's a text that continues to resonate across centuries, offering wisdom and insights that are as relevant today as they were, thousands of years ago.
And the journey doesn't end here. The Book of Enoch, it invites us to continue exploring, to keep seeking wisdom, and to strive to live lives that reflect those values of righteousness, justice, and compassion.
Thank you for joining us on this deep dive into the fascinating and thought-provoking world of the Book of Enoch. And remember, the journey continues. Keep exploring, keep seeking, and keep striving to make the world a better place.